Hello, welcome to Working Help Desk Tickets. Today we're going to talk about laptop capacity, we're going to talk about emails, we're going to talk about what plugins are, and we're going to talk about what it looks like when you have a virus on your computer. All right, let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Koboman. Welcome to another session video in which we talk about help desk tickets, resolve tech issues, and generally try to have some fun. Before we do that, and while I'm pulling up the ticketing system, please do me a favor in the comment below. Just say hello, hi, or present. This lets me know that people are interested in this type of content. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. All right, we have 17 tickets that we can work on. We're going to try to do as many as possible. First ticket, well, let's just see, unassigned. Do we have any tickets that are assigned to me that we need to follow up? Nope. All right, good. So we're going to start fresh here. Okay. Let's see here. I don't see my share drive in my desktop from MD Alum. Windows 10 Pro lost my share drive. How can I get back my drive? All right. Share drive is a network location on your computer, and sometimes they do get lost. So what is share drive in general? It's just the storage that you can use that's outside of your computer. And if you go to this PC and look at where your drives are, you can see that there might be some shared drives installed. And here it is. These are the ones that are connected currently. I have one that's at that network location, and then I have this one at the other location. X means that it's disconnected, meaning that the remote computer or remote server is down. That's what the X means. So in this case, let me see here. We're going to re-add this one here. We're going to look at the properties here. The reason I'm going to look at properties, and the same thing is something you have to do in order to reinstall the shared drive, meaning if your shared drive is gone, like literally there's nothing here, you have to re-add it. But in order to re-add it, you have to know what you're re-adding. So you're going to need network path, because shared drives are located somewhere else and not on your computer. You're going to access it over the network, and for those reasons you need a network path. So what is that? In this case, for network path to work, you need the computer name or the IP address, computer name for the remote computer that you're accessing to. So in this case, this Kobuman shared folder, this is the way you have to install it. So you have to type in // and then type in the name of the server or computer where the shared drive is located. So network storage somewhere. Just imagine network storage. It's somewhere else, but it's also connected to the same network. Has to be the same network. So // here means that it's on the network, and then we've got a name of the server, right? Of the server where the shared drive is. And then we're going to do another / to specify a folder. Now we're getting into the folder level, meaning directory of it. And then we're going to just specify here, looks like it's called shared. Okay, so that's the name of the network drive location. And this could be anything. It could be IP address, and then it could be, you know, something very, very specific. But in this case, this is what it is, and it's the same thing as here. Okay, so I'm going to remember that. We're going to copy it because we need to use it to install a shared drive. So I'm going to disconnect this one here, and then I'm going to disconnect this one here as well. Means we're going to remove it. Now, if sometimes you would see a blank thing here, but you still might have a network drive connected. For those reasons, and for that situation, if you need to remove it where it's not visible, you have to select map network drive and select disconnect network drive, and then they would be listed in here. So to repeat, sometimes you may have a drive that's already installed but not visible. It's not visible, okay? And then you try to add it later on under the same letter, you may get an error. The reason for that is because it's still there, it's just not visible. To find it, go to computer here, map network drive, and select disconnect network drive before you add it. Okay, and it'll be listed here if it's not visible, and that happens sometimes. Okay, now that looks good. Now we can go ahead and add the network drive. We're going to select computer, map network drive. So instead of disconnect, we're going to select map network drive. And then you can pick any letter. People sometimes are confused. They say, I need my share drive added, or they say, I need my Z drive added back. They don't know that it's a network drive. I need my Z drive back. Well, that's just a drive letter. You can name it anything you want. The main thing what you need from the user is this, the network path where the network drive is located. Okay? You can leave this reconnect at signing. What that does is just checks for the current Windows credentials that you're using. Of course, user has to have access to this drive. Otherwise, you have to use, if they have a specific login credentials that are separate from their Windows login, from their Windows computer, then you select connect using different credentials. What that will do is when you click finish here, it will pop up and it will ask you to put in the login credentials. Okay, it will ask you to enter login credentials. Otherwise, you can uncheck this and then just leave it as it is, and it will connect using the currently logged in and used the Windows credentials, Windows login. Okay, and here it is. It's asking me because it's, doesn't have. This is what I should have done. So if you're not, that's what would happen. If you don't have with your current Windows login, if you don't have the access to it, it will pop up and ask you for your login ID. Or you can just do this and it'll come up with the same thing. So I'm going to see if I remember, and then I'm going to select remember my credentials so I don't have to type this in every time I try to open it. Let me see if I remember my password. Very important, right? I guess it's not that. So, very important. Make sure that they're using the correct credentials in order to connect this drive. Clearly, I forgot mine, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, you use the correct one, and it will come up again. Sorry, I don't remember what mine was. This is something I've done for some video, God knows when. Okay, I'm gonna reply. Well, first of all, I would take control of the computer, as you guys have seen me do many, many times. I would take control of the computer and just do all of this for the user. And I'm going to, you know what, I'm not going to do a reply here. I'm just going to assume that I was talking to the customer over IM, instant messenger of some sort, over text or on the phone or something like that. So I'm not going to do a reply because I'm already talking to the customer, or I already finished talking to the customer, and I'm going to say added a network drive. I'm just going to leave it at that. That's all I need. I don't need any more details because it's very to the point, and that would be it for that. Close the ticket because we've resolved it. Okay. We got an email searching issue on Outlook, and sometimes send and receive problems. Nothing in the description. And this is from Shah Fahad. Thank you very much for submitting a ticket. Okay, so email searching issue in Outlook, and sometimes send and receive problems. I've talked about this in a previous video as well. But if you're having search issues in Outlook, it could be related to indexing. It could be related to the Exchange server being slow or overused or unoptimized. What is Exchange server? It's the server that you're connecting to whenever you open up your Outlook. So here is our pseudo Outlook that we have. It's not Office Outlook, but it's Outlook nonetheless. So here it is. This account is connected to the Exchange here where it says sample user 26 at outlook.com. That's connected to the Exchange server, which is the email server. Exchange meaning exchanging of communication or emails or mails, right? This is why it's called the Exchange. And I think it says here sometimes send and receive problems. So to me, kind of points to the fact that might be, or not the fact, but a guess, just based off the information we have. And sometimes there are issues with sending and receiving email. Again, this points exactly to the Exchange server. So I would make sure that the Exchange server is functioning properly and that there are no issues with that, meaning it's a connection issue. However, that's very unlikely if you're the only person with the issue, right? If you're the only person issue and everybody else who's using the same Exchange server, then something's going on with your computer, and it uh, could be just a slow internet connection. Your VPN, if you're using VPN to access this, especially, there might be an issue where it's slow to retrieve and send data, which which is directly related to what you said. Sometimes send and receive problems, but this is also related to email searching. Think about this. Whenever you're searching an email, the email will also search through the Exchange server itself, because your inbox is not your inbox profile, or your inbox account is on the server itself. However, people don't know this. When you add an inbox to your computer, your entire inbox is actually downloaded to your computer locally. And that's fine. And for those reasons, it's faster to actually access this. It's faster to search through these emails and this and that. However, it still has to connect to the server to receive new emails. So you do a search, right? You're doing a search and you're waiting for it, and it's still taking forever. This could mean that this could mean that it might be waiting for Exchange server to respond. And if you're saying that there are sometimes send and receive problems, to me that tells me there's a connection issue. So again, if it's only you that's having this issue, then you might want to look at your internet settings, make sure that you're connecting without any problems, without any hiccups. So how can you test this? You can do a ping to the Exchange server. You can ping the server, whatever the server name is, Exchange server name, ping it, and then see what kind of response you get when it comes to latency, right? So if you do ping outlook.com, right, you see how long it takes to respond back. So when you just do a regular ping, and you can do 30 pings if you want. You can set it up to do 30 pings instead of just 4. You can see that outlook.com is located here. So that's a first packet, send and receive. And it tells you the size. But what we want to look at here is the millisecond time, right? 27 milliseconds is quite normal and fairly fast. Now, if this gets into close to 100, or sometimes fails, one of these fails, like it just says timed out or something like that, then you know there's a connection issue. But you could have suddenly jumped to 100 milliseconds, 150, 300 milliseconds. Then there's a big latency issue, which could be causing problems with receive and send, and also search. Of course, I would have to have a direct access to your computer in order to test all of this and that. I don't know that I would try to repair Outlook or anything like that, because mainly because you said that there's send and receive problems, which makes me think there is a connection issue rather than something wrong with your Outlook or locally. Of course, look at all of these things, all of these ideas that I've given you, and kind of take a look in a sense whether these issues can be applied to some other issue that you may have locally. If there's an issue in searching and connection issues, you can also look at the task manager as the first place to see if there's something in the background taking up processing speed, this and that. If you find that there's a latency issue that's causing the problem, then look for all of those issues on your computer. And it could be between you and the Exchange server. So if you're on VPN, the cause could be the VPN as well. Then try a different server. Okay, I'm going to reply, and I'm going to say in just steps. issue might be with the Exchange server. Issue might be with connection to the Exchange server. And I'm going to say test latency for connection issues. I really think this is related to that, but I really hope that you watch my video for this. And again, for people who are first time seeing these videos, this is not necessarily how you would note this ticket for help desk. This is just me talking to somebody who is probably a tech person or knows a little bit about computers and wants to fix this issue on their own. This is what I would do when it comes to this ticket, and I would look for these issues. And I'm going to leave this ticket open and wait for a reply to see if we get more clarification of what might have happened, because it's a learning experience, right? And yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I've done anything else because we don't have direct access to it. We can't recreate the issue, which is the big thing here. And I'm going to keep the ticket open just in case we get more information from Shah Fahad. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I apologize if I don't. I'm going to move on. Here's another from Alam. Okay, what plugin means in Office 365? A interviewer asked me this question. Please help. I watch your every single video. Thanks a lot, Mr. Irvin. My pleasure. You're doing a great job. Thank you. You're helping me and many people to get IT support jobs, trying to take A+ exam. Okay. You're welcome. My pleasure. And good luck with A+. I guess that explains previous tickets that you've submitted. They look like A+ questions to me, which is fine, I suppose. Okay, what is plugin? Plugin is something that you plug in. Sorry, I had to say it. So every time we're talking about plugins related to software, in this case Office 365, we're talking about something that you add as an addition to any type of software. So that means it's something that somebody else usually created, and now it's integrating, in this case, into Office 365. And this could be like Outlook or some other piece of Office 365, like any other part of Office 365, Word, Excel, etc. But it could also be like web browsers. So usually plugins are designed to either integrate other part of the same suite, if you will. So if you Office 365, you got Office 365 here, right? You may have a plugin inside your Outlook to access something else that's inside of, for example, I don't know, some other part of Office 365. It could be anything. But let me give you an explanation here. Let me show you an explanation in Chrome. I think this is the best. So if you go to Chrome and any other program, there's a place where you would find plugins. So if you go to, for example, settings, and then just, I don't know, plugins, I think it's called extensions. Yeah, it's called extensions. Here it is. Extensions inside of Outlook, and exactly what it is, right? And when I said that it plugs in to the existing software to basically enhance it and to extend its use, this is why it's also called extensions. So plugins, extensions are the same thing. And then here's an example of that. We got Google Docs Offline extension that's installed in Chrome. So what does that mean? That means it allows you to access Google Docs offline. So Google Docs is basically Microsoft think of Microsoft Office or any Office suite, but it's online. It's integrated and it's online. It's online based documents. You know, you can have Excel, Word, spreadsheets, all kinds of different things. That's what Google's Docs are, except there everything's online on Google website. If you want to download it offline, all right, then you got to have this plugin, also known as an extension, installed. That's what it is. So it could be anything. I'm going to leave it at that because I feel like that explains what a plugin is for the most part. So I'm going to say plugin add functionality functionality. Of course I didn't spell it right. Okay, add functionality. There it is. To software / programs. So, yeah, I feel like that's it. I feel like that's plugin or extension, add functionality to software program. I feel like that's the simplest and the best answer for this. And for those reasons, I'm going to close this ticket. All right, so here's another email ticket. Since we've just done one, I'm going to leave it for the next video. I apologize. John Ame. I hope I'm John Ame. John Ame? I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I really appreciate you putting in this ticket, and I will definitely get back to it. And you know, just because I already talked about an email ticket, I don't want to basically repeat myself multiple times in this same video, but I will definitely talk about it very first ticket on the next video. Okay. All right, so we got my laptop is at capacity, and then we got urgent, all files disappeared, cannot access OneDrive. It's from the same person, William Matthews. Thank you for submitting, so I'm just going to pick this one. It doesn't matter. My laptop is at capacity. Assign it to myself. Unable to run more than one application at a time. It's really slow opening applications. So this could be what I'm assuming here when it says my laptop is at capacity. To me, that means is it at its capacity is in the sense that there's no more space left in it, which I can totally see. So for those reasons, you need to make space, because right now what's going on is that your computer is working really hard to use the page file that is required to process any applications that you open. So what is page file? Page file is basically virtual RAM or virtual memory that's used for processing, also known as random access memory. So here is memory on my computer here, and it's 16 gigabytes. This memory is used for processing. These are chips. These are sticks of memory, and they're used for processing any software that you open up. So you see right now I have 3.8 being used out of 16. So what is that? That's all of these programs that are open. They add up to that much of RAM being used for processing. Once I run out of this, it starts to use a page file, which is virtual memory that's created on your hard drive, or also known as your storage or your C drive, which is here. If you don't have enough space here, if you're at capacity, meaning that you run out of space here, of course it's going to slow down. Right? It takes a long time to process this. And that's what I'm assuming the issue is here. So what's the solution? Well, either delete stuff to make space on your local C drive if that's the issue, or upgrade to bigger storage, or add another storage and move software to that. Because you don't have to install everything on C drive. You can install things on E drive. If you get Office or some other program, doesn't matter, video game, doesn't matter. You can install it on another drive. And for those reasons, you can, create space. So you either create space on C drive, delete things that you don't use, like downloads, this and that, temporary files. You can do that. and temp files. Here we go. If you just type in temp in search, select delete temporary files. And it's going to calculate for you right here, and it'll tell you how much files can remove. And here it says temporary files 5.8 gigabytes. Right there, that's more than enough to run your page file. And then you can remove, you can uninstall apps that are not being used. So if I go to here, here's a bunch of stuff that I can delete. And of course, it looks at things like recycle bin, which you should be considering first anyways. And then we got downloads here. See, it's like 500 megabytes, temporary internet files, all kinds of stuff. And once you're ready, you just select remove files. You know, of course, you have to, if you want to delete everything out of recycle bin, you have to select that. Downloads, you have to tell it, delete, and suddenly I've made 6 gigabytes of free space. Okay, now I don't know if you mean at capacity something else. Then for you to actually figure that out, go in here, go to Task Manager and see what's taking up CPU power, right? Most likely it's going to be the software that you're trying to pull up, but just in case you see something sketchy in here that you don't recognize, or sometimes it may even look like some kind of Windows process that might be slightly skewed looking, and it's suddenly taking up a lot of CPU power, then you might have a virus that's disguised as a background process. So do a virus scan just in case you're just slow, like just in case your computer is simply slow, and then you have plenty of space, right? If the storage is not an issue, do a virus scan to make sure there are no viruses going on. But Task Manager is your friend. Always look at this and see what's using the most CPU power, go from there, and then from here go to the performance and see if you're running out of storage or random access memory for processing. You know, and then you can look at this here. You see how there is internet connection right here going on? That's a clear sign that there is something in the background running that's using up your power. This is bad. I don't have anything right now that I'm using. I'm not browsing anything, and yet there is internet activity, right? Or data over the network, because this could be local too, but in this case I know it's not, right? I know it's not. This is data being sent, and you can see how much. 240 being sent is really bad, right? Why is it really bad? Because you're sending stuff away from your computer. If this is a virus, your virus is copying things on your computer, and it's being sent to God knows where, right? This is really bad. What you're seeing here, this is really bad. This is how a really bad virus would look like. Okay, and I'm going to put this as a timestamp on the video just so you guys know. In this case, definitely run a virus scan, turn off, or first of all, unplug your computer from the internet, and then do your virus scans and this and that. And you know, there's a process on how you could remove viruses. If your antivirus doesn't work and you're still having this issue, then you might have to boot up into safe mode and then do a virus scan from there. But generally speaking, I wouldn't personally want to use this computer if it's really bad, or to the point where you can't stop it, like it's happening right now. Then I would reimage the whole computer, right? But I would make a copy of documents that you have that you know that you need first. Well, as before you do the reimage of the computer, before you reinstall the operating system. But of course, first thing is always disconnect network cables, disconnect internet. Now I have a surprise for you. This is actually normal for me because I'm using remote desktop. Surprise! So this is normal for me because I'm using remote desktop connection, meaning that I am remoted into this computer over my local network, and it's sending data. So because, you know, so I can use remote desktop. So how do I know that this is indeed my well, I know because I've initiated. But if I click here, open resource monitor. Okay, what was my password? Resource monitor, it'll tell me what's using up my network connection. Here it is. network down here, we can see, here it is, switch host here is actually switch host executable that's running in the background here is normal for your computer. Again, sometimes these viruses will disguise themselves as switch host, but switch host.exe is normal, and that's because I'm using a remote desktop protocol and working off of this computer remotely. But here it is, all right? This is my network service, which is switchhost.exe. And you can occasionally see Microsoft Edge trying to do some things here. That's because we have it open right here, you see? Okay, so that goes to show that Microsoft Edge is actually also sending data back and forth. Look at that. Here is Google user content. So look at this is Google bot running Microsoft, using Microsoft Edge.exe to send some data. Look at this. Very interesting. If you want to look at the resource monitor, you can really get into the details. But mostly here, what you're seeing here is remote desktop, constantly sending back and forth data. What did I say about this one? Okay, we're going to reply. I'm going to say, I've talked to William Matthews, so William Matthews, I don't have to introduce myself again. So I'm going to say you can free up space on your C drive. I'm going to call it the C drive because sometimes I don't want to call it the hard drive because sometimes most new computers will have a solid state drive, and I want the people to know the distinction, the difference, I should say, between those two. So I'm just going to solve C drive because that's your storage, and to make sure to check Task Manager for background processes to make sure. Oh, wait a minute, I already said to make sure. Background processes to see if anything weird is using up, let's say, CPU power. You know, but watch my video just to make sure that you check all of these things. You can free up space on your C drive. Make sure to check Task Manager for background processes to see if anything weird is using up CPU power. So I would check all of these things. I would take remote control of the computer, and I would check all of these things to make sure everything is running okay. I'm going to close it because this is nothing I can do in this case. You could also route the ticket to local, like a local tech support guy who's going to have direct access to the laptop and check all of these things. Usually help this person would just kind of forward this to local tech support, whatever that may be, and they would take a look if they need to add more hard drive, add more space, this and that. But I would go through all these steps, talk to the user, make sure they understand all of these things, and then they can decide to delete things, which most likely would probably be the case, just to make some space for the page file for the processing, but then later on use some other storage means, you know, like a shared drive or even some other drive that's installed on the computer. You can have a second hard drive or solid state drive installed on your computer as well. Okay. All right, I think I'm going to leave it at that for this session. I don't know how long this video is going to be, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I appreciate everybody who is watching. I wish you best of luck if you happen to be looking for a job. A lot of people actually come back to me and say that they've gotten a job because they say thanks to me, but it's never thanks to me because I'm just the guy who's sharing his knowledge, right? I'm just the guy. You are the one who makes the effort to learn things, to learn how to work IT, in this case specifically help desk or just tech support in general. It's not thanks to me. I'm just the guy who happens to be sharing his knowledge. It's the effort that you put in, you know, to whatever you do. You have to get up and make the effort to learn, to do whatever it is that you need to do, not just get a job. So just, you know, you need to pat yourself on the back too. Everybody who's watching, you need to pat yourself on the back and say good job to yourself, because you're taking time to learn this. You're making an effort. You're making an effort, and that's what counts. Without that decision to yourself, you're not going to be able to do anything in life properly. You're just going to be miserable. And I love to see people succeed. And if I helped in some way, then that's awesome. I love to see it. I do. But it's thanks to you, not thanks to me, that you've gotten that job, whoever that may be. All right. I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't let things stress you out. I wish you best to you and your family. Take care. Bye bye.